Hi, good day, and welcome to the Marble Horse TV Football Finance Podcast. Today, I wish to discuss a latest ranking of club value in the Premier League. This was released a few days ago, and it specifies the value in terms of market capitalization of each football club, in the current Premier League as it stands, 2016/17 season. Now, I'm going to discuss briefly what market capitalization means and what it is. Not all football clubs, not just in England or Europe or the world or the UK to use a sovereign state, are listed on the stock exchange. However, so that means they're not publicly traded. However, there is a general parameter as to the value of their equity. Now, I don't want to go too deep into accounting concepts or finance concepts, but in a general sense, equity is the value of the share capital of an organization. So to use the stock exchange as an example, if you hear on the news that BP has gone up or Exxon has gone down, or I don't know, let's say for example Tesco or Carrefour in France, that's a big shopping chain, mostly in France and in Europe, not so much in the UK. But then say for example Nissan or Toyota, or let's say, I don't know, Kraft Foods in the United States, or any major company, Shell, Siemens, any major company, BMW, Fiat, Santander, Delta, well, you get the picture now. I'd imagine. But let's say any of them had a rise or fall in their share value, then if a company, again in a general sense, all things being equal, if a company has a rise in its share value, that means that it's generally a more attractive proposition. So due to, shares are traded in a public sense on supply and demand. So whilst not all football clubs are publicly traded on a stock exchange or an open public, shall I say, exchange to buy or sell shares, then this generally means that an attractive proposition can lead to it being more, it has higher profits, higher revenues, probably it's an employer of choice or has become as such, it has good prospects, and the converse, as examples, could be true when the share price falls. Now, the Premier League ratings as such are as follows. Manchester City is first, Man United second, Arsenal third, however Tottenham Hotspur's fourth, Chelsea fifth, Liverpool sixth. Now the biggest rise in this is Spurs, and to some extent this is understandable. Tottenham Hotspur is not publicly owned. As I said, very few Premier League football clubs are these days. It used to be, it was one of the first clubs, to be fair, to be publicly owned, but I think at best most Premier League clubs maybe in what you would call the AIM, which is kind of a secondary stock exchange on the London Stock Exchange. So still are technically publicly owned, but not on the main, FTSE listing. I don't think many football clubs will ever be on the FTSE 100, but as a tangent, the FTSE 100 is just the biggest 100 companies on the FTSE, the London Stock Exchange. There are many dozens, probably hundreds of companies just at any one given time. The companies with the biggest market capitalization, that's the value of their equity and their shares, are on the index. So going on that tangent, I think Arsenal's on the AIM. I believe so, because Arsenal do have a legal obligation to release their finances and make things more transparent. So I believe they are probably on the stock exchange, even though Stan Kroenke owns them. And Stan Kroenke's holdings obviously are US based. I do think possibly Arsenal still is publicly traded in some specific sense, but not on the main stock exchange or one of the secondary stock exchanges. But I apologise for another digression. So Tottenham, you have to say, of the top six, holistically on and off the pitch, are doing the best, it could be argued. You have a decent manager, young manager. You have some good young players, a new stadium. They're going to increase in revenues. So, Spurs increasing their share value, their market value, as is pretty fair. I think Man City, even though Man United is a bigger club, overall you have to contend that bigger fans, more history, bigger stadium, bigger fan base, more trophies, more money, bigger revenues. I think Manchester City, because of the nature of how they're financed, I do believe why they're number one. Arsenal number three, as I said, which makes sense, even though it hasn't been the best of season, and incidentally I am a Gooner, but this isn't really an Arsenal podcast as such as a football finance podcast. It hasn't been the best of seasons for us, to be fair. Yes, we could still potentially win an FA Cup, but nonetheless, I do believe that, we have a big stadium still, we have a global brand, we're a very rich club in the world, and we do still have top players, even if Sanchez leaves or Ozil leave. So, and then you have Liverpool, Chelsea, of course, soon to be champions, you would think. Liverpool, obviously a big global brand, they have an increasing stadium. So, I think the top six makes sense, though Spurs' rise makes sense also. So then, thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you next time on the Football Finance Podcast from Marble Halls. Thank you very much.